Welcome back, everyone, to BBQ Basketball. I'm Kendall Capps, and I'm here with Andrew Williamson, where we're going to take a look at the first round of the NBA playoffs, break down some of the matchups.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things happening, some upsets, things that people didn't foresee, and then some players making some standout moves.
Yeah.
We'll throw some dogs on and delve into this first round here.
How about we start in the East with the only team to clinch to be able to sweep in the first round, the Boston Celtics. You thought that they would come out and play really well?
Well, I did. It doesn't surprise me at all. They do this every year. They look slow at the end of the year. Everyone says they're too old, they're done, and then they come out and handle business in the playoffs. And last year they had a lot of series that at the end of the day looked a little bit longer, but really they dominated most of their playoffs.
They did, but this was still the first sweep that they've had since they put this compilation of Garnett, Allen, and Pierce together. They have never swept anyone before this. I thought New York would show up at home. It was amazing that they could almost win a couple games on the road playing really that well and just really fold up the tent almost at home.
Well, I think you also are dealing with Chauncey Billups got hurt in that second game. He didn't play again. That's a big deal. Amari was hurt, wasn't really playing by himself.
Yeah, he wasn't himself at the end of the series.
And when you only have 4 players on your team, 2 of them being injured is kind of a big deal, and I think that's what the Knicks ran into. There was nobody left to play defense. I mean, they made that run in the 4th game with Anthony Carter and other guys who had been on the bench all year. They just didn't trust anyone. And that Celtics team is back in playoff form. Their defense is playing.
Rajon Rondo is playing the way he typically does in the postseason play. He steps up. He's having an amazing playoff so far.
Garnett looks refurbished. Paul Pierce playing well. Jermaine O'Neal coming back with some solid defense, which you guys have been lacking from that position.
He's getting 3-4 blocks. It seems like each game that he plays, he's hitting at a high percentage, shooting the ball.
And Jeff Green and Kristich really starting to fit in. This team, like I said, I think they're the most dangerous team. I really think when all is said and done, they're going to roll through these Eastern playoffs.
I don't know. Well, they're going to run in more than likely to a difficult Miami squad that Chris Bosh has really come along the second half of the season. He's been able to integrate himself into that offense, and when all 3 play well, they're very difficult to defeat. And I mean, Philly, I give them credit. They won the 4th game. They were able to extend the series. I think they're probably going to drop the next one in Miami, and then we have the matchup between Miami and Boston.
I'd agree, but what worries me for Miami is the way they've played Philly. All these games have been close, and they all year can't close games at the end. 0 for 8 in last-second shots between LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. They've had a couple other guys say it, but they can't find a guy who they can get open to take that shot at the end.
And Boston proved in the last series that when the game's on the line, they know how to get good shots, and they hit the shots as they did in Game 1 and 2 against New York.
And I think they came out and made a lot of mistakes against Philadelphia, and playing a young Philadelphia team that hasn't been in the playoffs before. None of those guys have been there before. They're going to win that series, but I don't think that's going to fly against a team like
How about
the Celtics.
another team that has really been playing down to its competition somewhat and hung around? Indiana Pacers playing the Bulls. Indiana having the lead in the 4th quarter of all 4 games, but only winning 1.
Well, and I don't know that this is necessarily a case of playing down to the competition as much as this is a Pacers team that's a lot better than their record since they changed coaches. And also, you got to look at it. This Bulls team won a lot of games during the regular season by playing harder and by wanting it more and being more active on defense. And in the playoffs, that kind of evens out.
It really does, and they've played really well. They've had balance offensively. They're getting back. They're getting key stops. The injury to Derrick Rose, he's walking around in a boot now for a short time. I mean, that could really hurt them. Chicago's still going to get through this series, obviously, but it could hurt them long term.
I think so, but I do think the Pacers might be able to steal a game here in Game 5 and push this to 6 at least, and maybe win one in Indiana. This could go 6 or 7 with the way they've been able to shut down the rest of those players. Carlos Boozer not having a very great series. I don't think Kyle Korver is going to keep hitting threes at an 80% clip like he has been. Yeah. I think the Bulls will get through, but they're going to be a lot more sore and tired after this series.
They are, but I think home court might carry them on. I think they might win Game 5 back at home and move on. How about a surprise that neither one of us really saw? Atlanta showing up in the playoffs, and we see what they can do when they show up. And I think one key component that I overlooked a little bit going into this series was them getting Kirk Hinrich. Guy who played with the Bulls, a guy who plays defense, brings defense in a defensive mentality to a team that previously didn't really have much of. They have a lot of offensively talented guys.
And we overlooked how well they had played against the Magic during the regular season. I think thinking back to that series last year, but the trade that this Magic made, Hedo Turkoglu is not playing well at all.
It's not the same Turkoglu that they had 2 years ago when they went to the finals.
It's just not that solid of a team. They've got Dwight Howard playing, I think, the best he's ever played, and they're still not winning games. I don't think this is a good sign. I think this is the first the beginning of Dwight Howard leaving Orlando.
Yeah, it very well could be. How about out west? We go to the 1 seed San Antonio. They had a great regular season. Suddenly they're behind in the series, behind in the game, might fall down 3-1 in the series against Memphis.
Well, they're another team that I think knew how to play hard and play smart during the regular season and thrived on that. And now the other teams are playing at that same level of intensity. They're finding that the margin's not that big, especially when you play a big Memphis team.
Yes, with Gasol and Randolph down low, San Antonio hasn't had an answer, and you called it. You liked Memphis to win the series. Now, it's not over yet, but San Antonio is going to do a quick turnaround.
Matchups, and San Antonio, like you said, they don't have anybody down low. Tim Duncan's still there. He's not the same Tim Duncan. And Zach Randolph's a beast. Marc Gasol's a beast. And Rudy Gay's playing well. This team is hard to beat.
Well, no, Rudy Gay is out.
Rudy Gay's out. But
that's one of the amazing things for Memphis, that they've been able to do this without Rudy Gay. It's quite impressive what they've been able to do. I took San Antonio initially. I got to stick with them until they're down, but it certainly doesn't look good for them right now.
I think Memphis is going to pull it out. I know San Antonio is the more experienced team, and if they can get to a Game 7, I like them to make a run at it, but I just don't think they stack up well against this Memphis team.
All right, how about the Lakers in a surprising 2-2 series going back to L.A.? You didn't see this coming from the Hornets. I don't think anyone really saw it outside of maybe the people in that locker room.
And you just have to think that the Lakers aren't focused. They came out in Game 1. They lost, looked like they weren't really playing their hardest. Then they came out and put a good big game up in Game 2 and 3. You think they're going to start to take it, but you think maybe they take their foot off the throttle?
Even in Game 2 and 3, especially Game 3, I still didn't get the sense that they had really played the way they had played during that stretch when they won 17 of 18. And they've been Jekyll and Hyde all year. They should still get through this series. They're going back home. But it's going to be difficult, especially with the injury possibly to Kobe Bryant.
And you worry about that point guard position. Now, Chris Paul is maybe one of the best point guards we've ever seen play. He struggled through a lot of injuries this year, but didn't really play up to the potential we've seen. And now here come the playoffs, and he looks like one of the greatest guys on the court. And when you've got a guy doing as much for his team as he's doing, they can win any game.
All right, Flip. How about in the 3-6 matchup, Dallas-Portland? You and I both thought that this would be a great series. So far, it's evened up at 2. They got a great Game 5 going. I mean, this one's going to come down to the wire. And what you got to give Portland some credit. They didn't give up. They're down 23 at home in Game 4. Series on the line. They know they lose that. They're probably done with the series. They find a way to come back. Brandon Roy, after talking about not getting a lot of playing time, for him to rebound the way he did, get his playing time, and make the most of it, score 18 in the fourth to carry them to that victory. I mean, this series is going 7, I think.
I agree. I think it's going 7. I'm taking Portland.
You had them
thought all year that this Dallas team is soft. They don't come through when it's on the line. And lo and behold, they're up 23 with a chance to really put the series away. And they let the team back into it. And I watched that game, and I thought, don't let them back into it. You can't let this team have some life, because then this is going to be a series. I don't know that Dallas is going to be able to recover.
I think they will. I like Dallas at the beginning. I expected it to go deep. I still think it will. It goes 7, but I think the home team, Dallas, wins it in Game 7.
Well, and that takes us to the Oklahoma City Thunder, now up 3-0 on the Denver Nuggets. You think they complete the sweep tonight?
They very well might. I had OKC in 5. I figured they would be very competitive games, but I thought down the stretch, Denver's inexperience would really hurt them, whereas Oklahoma City knows where they're going to go with the ball down the stretch, and that's the way it's been between Westbrook and Durant.
Well, I totally agree. I think Denver plays really well, but when you get down to crunch time in that game, do you have somebody who can take over? Oklahoma City, if you get Durant the ball, he's so big, so tall, he's going to be able to get a shot off, and the way he shoots, he's probably going to make it. I'm going to think the Thunder sweep it out and get rid of the Nuggets here. Well, thanks, everyone, for joining us again here at BBQ Basketball. For Kendall Caps, I'm Andrew Williamson. Take care.
Have a good night.